Hey, hello there, everybody. Yes, this is Stone Petoskey welcoming you to another episode of Getting Stoned. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for taking your precious time to stop on by. And give this little humble show of mine your ears, your minds, your hearts. Yes, indeed. I appreciate you. I truly just feel so much gratitude for anybody who stops on by. Thank you. Thank you. So I was reminded this week how fragile life and all these things that we just take for granted can really be. And I understand that, we don't want to live in the headspace of fear and worry all the time. That's no good for anybody. And I think, our memories are made in such a way that our minds, I guess our minds are made in such a way that, we can stay present in the moment and cognizant of the beauty and the joy. But sometimes, shit happens. And I kind of think that's just, shit happens every fucking day, man. People get hurt. Emotionally, physically. And, that's just it. That's part of how life is, man. And there's no getting around it. There's no sugarcoating it. You just have to build some resilience within yourself so you can make your way in this world amidst all the pain that comes to you, to yourself, comes to those that you love, comes to your fellow brothers and sisters, to the planet, to Mother Earth even. Yeah. So my someone I love very, very much, she fell and she hurt herself. And she's a youngin'. And she's got a little bit of a healing road ahead of her. It's just getting started. Broken bones and torn ligaments and things of that nature. And as someone who's been through these things myself, I appreciate a few parts of it all. I just feeling like sharing it. In case maybe some of y'all have gone through it too, or, I don't know. I think it's good to connect on these things. And so, I wasn't expecting none of this. Life is just happily going along until it isn't. And then you're met with something that challenges you or someone you love, and, it makes you get to thinking about some of this stuff. So, just going to take a minute or two and share my perspective. So when something happens and your body gets broken, it's scary, creates all kinds of anxiety and fear and uncertainty. Everything was working and you could do what you wanted to do, and then something happens and you can't. And then you're not sure what's going to happen. Is everything going to heal up okay? Am I going to be able to do the things I want to do? And all of that stuff, all those voices are just spinning around inside of your head. And like I said, it's scary, and the unknown of it all, and having to have surgeries and, things of that nature. And they just, they they ask a lot of you as an individual. And my experience has been that you get a range of emotions that you go through, and that's just the process. So you kind of accept that, or you hopefully you get to a place where you can accept that. There's going to be highs and lows, and you're going to ride that wave of it all. And then you trust in the body. Ultimately, the body wants to do everything it possibly can to keep you healthy, keep you alive, keep you functioning, at a high level. And there's so much miraculousness to that whole concept, how the body heals and how it does what it does. And I've been continually amazed by that capacity. And I have my own views on that. I'm not going to delve too much into it, but other than to say it truly is a miracle, the healing process. And the body is not something that's ever at war with us. The body is always looking out for us, even in the midst of things that don't seem fair or just or any of that kind of thing. That whole part of it's another aspect of the conversation. But and to that, I will simply say that the sooner that you are able to get through those feelings of feeling sorry for yourself, feeling victimized somehow, feeling like you didn't deserve it, and why me, which is all natural, by the way. You're going to feel those feelings and have those thoughts, so don't try to push them away or deny them. Just go ahead and get on into them and let them be what they got to be. But you certainly don't want to linger there, because it ain't going to serve you no good if you do. It's just going to keep you down, and you don't want that, especially when you're trying to heal and get your life back in a way that you want to be and thrive in and what have you. So keep your chin up. And remember that you gotta put in the work mentally, spiritually, physically, to facilitate the best outcomes in the healing process. There's been some remarkable things that I've seen in my lifetime around these kinds of things, and I fully expect that I will continue to see those miracles happen. I don't know whether life happens for us or to us or neither of those propositions. I would suspect it's, in my personal opinion, it's neither. To me, life is lifing. It's not happening to me, it's not happening for me. Life is what I am, and life is simply that. There's no rhyme, there's no reason why good things happen, so-called bad things happen. I don't believe. I think it's all mystery. It will always be a mystery. If there's meaning, if there's purpose, if there's karma, I don't know for sure. But what I do personally believe is that where I decide to stake my claim around these big kind of questions is really where it's at. So in other words, when I went through my body being damaged, whether or not it was meant to be or not meant to be is really besides the point. An answer to that question is never possible to grasp, as far as I'm concerned. And in that sense, it's almost an irrelevant question. I think it's important to ask it, ponder on it, think about it, if that's your kind of vibe, if that's the kind of person you are, which I certainly am. So I spent countless hours pondering these big questions in life. But answers remain elusive as far as I've experienced. So when you're going through something like that's challenging you, that's asking something of you in that way, I have personally found that it isn't going to serve me in any way, shape, or form if I see myself as a victim. So that to me is like, you are disempowered, you are helpless. And all of those things, in certain instances, very well may be the reality of the situation. I know there are many times where people are helpless and they are victims to circumstances. And I suppose I've thought a lot about all that, and that's another conversation. But when it comes to your body being broken and needing to mend, I personally believe that it's gives oneself the best chance for the best outcomes if one takes the mindset that this in fact is happening for me. And in that way, I am not a victim. I am how do I want to say this? I am powerful. I am, as an individual, as a human being, I am connected and a part of the one. Call it God, call it source, call it whatever you want. I'm always connected to this, in whether I'm here alive in physical form or not. I am that. And so there's ways that you can tap into your divine nature, whereby you can feel empowered and you can feel resilient and you can feel courageous. And yes, of course, you're going to feel fear, and you're going to feel weakness, and you're going to feel uncertainty. That's all part of the trip too. But your mind, where you want to focus it, your attention, your intention, is in the space of empowered. And so when I would think that this was happening for me, that was integral to me feeling empowered and making choices that honored that sense of empowerment and doing things that could facilitate my healing in ways that wouldn't be the case if I were seeing myself as a victim and somehow had no capacity of choice or intention in the process that I was going to be going through. So that entails all kinds of mental fortitude and mental kung fu, as I would call it, because you're going to slip into the negativity in the victim mindset, and it's important, to give yourself grace when those things happen, and to not linger there for too long, and remember that you are powerful and you can realize the fullest potential of the healing. And you don't know what the outcome's going to be when it's all said and done, but you can have an intention in mind of what it is you do want. And I think that is something that matters. So my dear little one who's in the process of having to mend her body that was broken, and just doing something fun that she loves to do, and you wipe out, and then things are forever changed. And that's, ultimately, that is the nature of life. It's constantly changing. And things happen that you wish didn't, but they did, and then you got to move on and keep on doing your best. And we learn from these things. We can become a better person, even if we have to suffer and experience a body that is broken. It can help us grow and evolve and expand our awareness, expand our ability to be compassionate, it expands our ability to be understanding of other suffering, because we can identify, we know what it feels like. So these things are lessons, and in that way, if we accept the lesson, the teachings that are being asked of us, we can be our best self. And in that way, we can be in service to the growth, to those that we encounter in our own lives. And I think that is a far more beautiful proposition than seeing these events that occur in our lives, these unfortunate events. I think if we see them from a place of empowerment, of the notion, again, I don't have the answers to why things happen, but I do believe that if I feel as if it's something that I wish happened, or rather did not happen, and I feel that I can learn from it somehow, that this was a opportunity for me to continue to strive for the best that I can offer in my life. I think that's a far more beautiful and powerful and mindful perspective to take. So I send out all kinds of good vibes and healing and prayers to anyone who happens to be listening. If you're suffering, if your body's broken, or your mind is hurting, your heart is hurting, that you're in any way feeling like you just don't understand why the fuck something happened to you. If you can make that switch to away from feeling like a victim and embrace the notion that you have an opportunity to proceed forward through this experience, not feeling like a victim, but instead feeling like a warrior. And you're going to take this on with a strong heart and a strong mind and a strong will. And you're going to lean on others, because others will be there to support you. I can promise you that. And you can move forward with courage and grace and faith. And know that you can make it through the healing. And the experience of having done that will serve you in unimaginably positive ways as you go forward in your life. And I think that's a far better proposition than feeling sorry for oneself ever could be. All right, enough about that. But in the same vein of all of this, what I'm talking about here, I was going to read this book. It's a children's book, illustrated and all this good stuff that I was, me and my sister were given as children by our parents, and this book is called John Henry, an American Legend. It's by Ezra Jack Keats. So I keep this book on my bookshelf where I work, my desk, just to remind me of the lessons that John Henry teaches. So let's give this one a read here. I hope you enjoy. A hush settled over the hills. The sky swirled soundlessly round the moon. The river stopped murmuring. The wind stopped whispering. And the frogs and the owls and the crickets fell silent, all watching and waiting and listening. Then the river roared. The wind whispered and whistled and sang. The frogs croaked, the owls hooted, and all the crickets chirped. Welcome, welcome, echoed through the hills. And John Henry was born with a hammer in his hand. Bang, 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 rang little John Henry's hammer through the cabin as he crawled about. What's that rascal up to now? His mother chuckled. And before she knew it, he was big enough to help her around the house. And as he grew up, he did a man's work with his father. And one day, John Henry thought, I'm taller and stronger than anyone around. It's time I went out into the world. He said goodbye to his mother and father, and off he went. He worked on farms and in cotton fields, but all that was too tame. So he got himself on a job on a riverboat. One stormy night, the ship plowed through the darkness. Suddenly, the big steel rod that turned the paddle wheel broke. The wheel stopped turning. Smash went the rod through the bottom of the ship. Pump water, shouted the captain. Get to port before we sink. And John Henry leaped to the paddle wheel crank. He seized it, pushed and grunted and pulled. Slowly, the giant wheel turned. With all his strength, he kept it turning. Lord Almighty, help us, someone said in that long, dark night. As day broke, they sighted shore and pulled into port. A thunderous cheer went up for John Henry. John Henry felt a new excitement in the air. Men were talking of railroads being built from the Atlantic to the Pacific. They're going to lay those tracks over rivers, across prairies and deserts, and right through mountains, and through Indian lands and stampeding buffalo herds and badlands. Goodbye, boys, cried John Henry. I'm going to swing me a hammer on them beautiful new tracks. My hands are just itching to hold the hammer again, John Henry said. He tried one for size and laughed. Ah, it sure does feel fine. How he drove those spikes, singing to the clanging of his hammer. The men joined in, their voices singing, hand was ringing. And John Henry's gang was in the lead as day after day the tracks moved steadily westward. Rising across their path was a sprawling mountain range. Its snow-capped peaks reached high into the clouds. We'll have to tunnel through, said his friend Little Bill. It'll be awfully dangerous. Could be cave-ins, someone put in. That suits me fine, said John Henry. Me too, added Little Bill. Here's how we'll do it, boys, the foreman called out. A couple of men will drive a hole into the rock, and then the powder men will put dynamite into the hole and explode it. The others will cart the loose rock away. We'll do this again and again and again until we have a tunnel right through the mountain. And it's going to be a real big tunnel, boys. Big enough for a giant locomotive pulling one of them long strings of trains. All right, boys, blast away. Deep into the mountain they worked as John Henry's singing echoed through the tunnel. The powder men got ready to blast more rock. They filled the hole with dynamite, put in the long fuse, and lit it. "Run, men!" cried the foreman. They all scrambled back, ready to dash clear of the blast. At that instant came a great cracking and rumbling, and the entire tunnel trembled around them. "It's a cave-in! We're trapped!" There was no place to run. The fuse burned closer to the dynamite. John Henry was nearest the fuse. He ran to put it out, but tripped and fell. "Oh, I'm hurt bad," he groaned. "I can't get up." The fuse burned farther out of reach. Others rushed towards it, but they were too far away. Suddenly, John Henry remembered. He still had his hammer in his hand. Down came the hammer, smack on the burning tip. The fuse was out. Danger past. Sighs of relief filled the smoky tunnel. "Whew! Help me up, boys," mumbled John Henry. Clearing their way through the cave-in, the men carried him to safety. Some days later, they heard an unfamiliar clatter. Down the tunnel came a group of men with a strange machine. "This is a steam drill. I can drill more holes faster than any 6 men combined," a new man bragged. "Who can beat that?" John Henry stepped forward. "Try me." He and Little Bill took their workplaces. John Henry gripped his hammer. Little Bill clutched his steel drill. "Check the machine," came an order. A nervous man fell on the switch. In the dark, both sides waited for the signal to stop. A hoarse voice counted. 1, 2, 3. The machine shrieked as it started. John Henry swung his hammer, and a crash of steel on steel split the air. Clang, bang, clang. The drill got red hot in Little Bill's hands. He quickly dropped it and picked up another. Hiss, whistle, rattle. Men frantically heaved coal into the hungry, roaring engine and poured water into the steaming boiler. Whoop, clang, whoop, bang. John Henry's hammer whistled as he swung it. Chug, chug, clatter, rattled the machine. Hour after hour raced by. The machine was ahead. "Hand me that 20-pound hammer, Little Bill." Harder and faster crashed the hammer. Great chunks of rock fell as John Henry ripped hole after hole into the tunnel wall. The machine rattled and whistled and drilled even faster. Friends doused John Henry and Little Bill with cold water to keep them going. Then John Henry took a deep breath, picked up 2 sledgehammers and sang. "Ain't no hammers strike such fire, strike like lightning, Lord, and I won't tire. Hammers like this, Lord, there's never been. I'll keep swinging them, Lord, until we win." John Henry swung both mighty hammers, faster and faster. He moved so fast the men could only see a blur and sparks from his striking hammers. His strokes rang out like great heartbeats. At the other side of the tunnel, the machine shrieked, groaned, and rattled and drilled. Then all at once it shook and shuddered and wheezed and stopped. Frantically, men worked to get it going again, but they couldn't. It had collapsed. John Henry's hammer still rang and echoed through the tunnel with a strong and steady beat. Suddenly, there was a great crash, and light streamed into the dark tunnel. John Henry had broken through. Wild cries of joy burst from the men. Still holding one of his hammers, John Henry stepped out into the glowing light of a dying day. It was the last step he ever took. Even the great heart of John Henry could not bear the strain of his last task. John Henry died with his hammer in his hand. If you listen to the locomotives roaring through the tunnels and across the land, you'll hear them singing of that great steel driving man, John Henry. Listen. John Henry, an American legend by Ezra Jack Keats. I've been looking through that book ever since I was a little kid, and even to this day. I shit ain't little no more. That book just fills me with emotions. Powerful human beings. So much more powerful than we often imagine we can be. Don't ever doubt your power. You all have it within you. Believe in yourself. No matter what you're going through, believe in yourself. All right. I just want to thank y'all for listening again. I appreciate you so much. I don't think we had a little hug moment here yet today, so let's get on up into that right now. How about it, y'all? Feel the hugs, man. Come on. There's a lot of love out there in the world, so feel it, tap into it, know it's there, believe in it, trust in it, live it. Yes. Oh, feels good. Feels good. All right, we got to do ourselves a tune here, right? I don't know. Let's do this one. You say you want diamonds on a ring of gold. You say you want your story to remain untold. All the promises we made, from the cradle to the grave, when all I want is you. You say you give me a highway with no one on it, a treasure just to look upon it, all the riches in the night. You say you give me hours in the moon of blindness, a river, the time of dryness, a harbor in the tempest, all the promises we made, from the cradle to the grave, and all I want is you. look out right to last with me through the night. You say you want diamonds on a ring of gold, your story to remain untold, your love not to grow cold. All the promises we break from the cradle to the grave, and all I want is you. All I want is you. Oh, yeah. Certainly not the best version I ever did of that song, but it's funny how that goes, you know. Every time you do something that's a little bit different, and there's oftentimes a tendency to be so hard on ourselves, to be so judgy on ourselves, and I think that there's a much more mindful, much more loving way to see all of that, and that is that you got in the game and you tried, you know. You did it. You learned. And in this instance, you know, I learned. I put hours and hours into learning how to even play guitar. You know, and I'm not even very good at it. So there I go again, being hard on myself. And, you know, when singing, you know, it's such a scary proposition. And, you know, even still, every time I'm like, oh my gosh, do I sound okay? You know? Are people going to find this in some way valuable? And then, you know, you get into all that comparison stuff, and it's just, it doesn't serve no good for nobody. Each of us is an artist and a creative soul in our own right. And in that way, never stop believing in yourself. Don't even compare yourself to others. You are unique, and your creativity is boundless. Your life is your art, y'all. And when you're feeling broken, like literally, like I was speaking about a moment ago, you know, kicking this whole show off. Sometimes you're broken, and your body's broken, or your heart's broken, literally, and it hurts, and you're feeling all the emotions that come with all of that. Bottom line is just always believe, man. Always believe in yourself. Always believe in yourself. You know, sometimes you're gonna doubt it. I get it. I've been there. I know what that feels like. It's all a part of it. But when it's all said and done, y'all, be John Henry. Come on. You're a steel driving man with a hammer in your hand. And you can make it all the way through to the light. Yes, you can. Yes, you can. All right, y'all. Thank you so much again for giving this show a listen. I appreciate you. I love you, man. Until next time, this is Stone Petoskey saying.